This is the Real Deal in Sports. My name is Nathan Deal, and we're doing a very, very special presentation tonight. We are going to do a smaller segment than what we normally do, which is about 45 minutes to an hour of me ranting, raving, rambling, and stumbling. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go around the NFL real quick, as it's the real deal in sports. We really want to touch on kind of the bigger things that are going on right now, and then dive into some other topics throughout the evening. But tonight, we are doing the important one, and that is the NFL. And we're going to talk NFL quarterbacks, panic, patience, or perfection. That's kind of going to be the general theme as we go through. We're going to start off, though, not in some random order. We're going to go around the NFL. We're going to go each division, conference by conference, and we're going to talk about just briefly if each quarterback, each team needs a quarterback, if they're set, if there's an issue going to happen in a faraway time, in a faraway land. That is going to be the basis of these next 10 to 15 minutes. We might touch at the very end on a topic I talked about a few weeks ago. If you know, and we will talk about that as well. But that is coming up. But right now, we are going to dive in to the world of the quarterbacks. Patience, perfection, or what are we going to even do? It gets bad for some of these teams. But instead of drawing on names out of a hat, instead of picking somewhere on a map, we're going to start in the NFC East, my team, the Cowboys, and then we're going to go just right down the gauntlet, so to speak, and we're going to analyze these real quick and see where teams can move around and do what they need to do. But we'll start off in the NFC East. They have they do not have a 3-0 team. They have a couple 2-1 teams, a 1-2 team, and I believe an 0-3 team, but I'd have to double check. Didn't do a lot of statistical research coming into this. Probably should have, but as anybody who's watched the Real Deal in Sports, I'm throwing this up on the YouTube, on the X. You guys can check it out right here. This is where I do the thing from time to time. Take a look at it, okay? This is very raw and real and just sports. But starting off in Dallas, they have their guy, Dak Prescott, $60 million man, signed an hour before season started, and unfortunately it's showing. The Cowboys didn't do anything in the offseason to bolster this team and make this team better. They lost their starting running back at Tony Pollard. They did not address that situation. They have a great receiver in CeeDee Lamb, a great quarterback in Dak Prescott. But eventually they're going to have to pay other positions so they can have a team. Right now they have some guys. They don't have a team. But we're not diving into teams. We're talking quarterbacks. Quarterback only, Dak Prescott, he's a solid. They are good for a while. Now, could they think about potentially drafting someone for later? Maybe. But we know Jerry isn't that type of guy. Going down the list, heading up to Philly. One of the you'd think one of the more secure spots quarterback-wise. Unfortunately, I'm going to disagree. I think Jalen Hurts is struggling right now. I believe there are some issues going on, whether it be in the locker room, in his head, whatever it is. This is a guy who's been to a Super Bowl. This is a guy who had a 15-0 start. He can run off a string of wins. But right now, Jalen Hurts looks like a second-year guy who is just confused, and he is not. If I'm Philly, I'm concerned. I believe there is patience here for Philly right now, but patience can wear thin relatively quickly. And that fan base, they want action. Interested to see how the next few games go. Can they get off of this schneid? It is talked about immensely, 9 of 11, something to that effect. They are not doing well. Now, the next one we'll talk about is the Washington Redskins. Commanders. 35, and I still call them. The Commanders, after Monday night's game, Jaden Daniels has arrived. He is the guy that you want leading this Commander team. They have a solid running group led by Austin Eckler, who played very well. They have a good receiving corps with Scary Terry McLaurin. They have offensive weapons, and they have a defensive coach in Dan Quinn, which, by the way, Dallas is missing a lot right now. Dan Quinn is getting the most out of this rookie. Now, it was, I believe they were talking smack, but one of the Cincinnati Bengals was like, oh, they're just running college stuff. You know what? If you can run a college scheme and win a game and make your quarterback of the future look great while doing it, and you're simplifying the game to a point to where it's easy for your quarterback and you're going to win, why not? Which is something the New York Giants need to think about. The Giants and Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, my God, where to begin with this guy? He has a top 3 rookie in Malik Neighbors. We're not even touched the rookie of the year stuff. That will take us to about 7 hours. We can talk rookies for a long time here at the Real Deal in Sports. I can never do it right. I try so hard. Can never get it right. Malik Neighbors is a fantastic young player, and he is going to help Daniel Jones out quite a bit. They gave up their best player in Saquon Barkley, who's been doing very well in Philly. They added, he played Devin Singletary. Took me a minute, but I got there. Devin Singletary, they added him to this roster. They have Wandell Williams. He's, again, a very serviceable, Wandell Robinson, a very serviceable receiver as well. But they don't have a lot of weapons. And Malik Neighbors balled out on Sunday. So in the NFC East, you are legitimately set at 2 teams, Cowboys and Commanders. Eagles, you got patience. And Daniel Jones, you gave him that big contract, but he has not lived up to it. The rumors all offseason will be Shadur Sanders, Sam Darnold, who we'll talk about in a minute. But it's going to be, are the Giants looking to move on from Daniel Jones? We're going to have to find out. So I mentioned Sam Darnold. Let's head over to the NFC North. In that division, Vikings. Okay, we're going to talk 3-0, playing like champs. Brian Flores is the defense rolling. But more importantly, Sam Darnold is playing with a confidence that we expected out of him when he was selected by the New York Jets. But as Bill Belichick said, the only team that did not like Sam Darnold was the Jets. Carolina liked him, but not enough. San Francisco loved him, but not enough to pay him $10 million a year. Vikings go, hey, Sam Darnold, we'll pay you $10 million a year to back up our guy, J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy, non-contact football injury, blows out a knee. And now Sam Darnold is MVP frontrunner, 8 touchdowns, playing incredibly smart football and leading the Minnesota Vikings to an early season run. Vikings, perfection. They're solid right now. Now we'll hop across a state that I'm quite familiar with, Wisconsin, and over to the Bay of Green. Now, Malik Willis is the backup, and he just whooped up on Tennessee. Jordan Love is out with an MCL strain. 2 games out so far. He's supposed to miss 5. Almost there. He's been listed as questionable every game. He goes out there. He's getting closer and closer to returning. He just got a fat contract. The Green Bay Packers are set at quarterback. Again, I'm going to use the term perfection. I don't like the Packers, but we got to do it. Now, slide on over to Michigan and Detroit and look at the Lions. The Lions are in a position to where it's a patient mode. It is patience for the Detroit Lions. The Lions can be patient right now with Jared Goff, allow him to play the next year or two, but now they need to decide here relatively quickly, do you go after a Bryce Young and let him sit for the next 2 years behind Jared Goff? That would be a brilliant thing to do for the Detroit Lions to inquire about what would it take to get Bryce Young. Now, would the Lions give up a couple first-round picks, like 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, to get Bryce Young or whatever the value would be, and to have him sit behind Jared Goff for the rest of this year and next year, and have Bryce Young learn how to play football. But again, that's all speculatory stuff, and we can do that on a speculatory Sunday or whatever the case may be. But let's hop on down to Chicago. Now, the 3 Ps are panic, patience, and perfection. The Bears gave up the farm to get Caleb Williams. They let go of Justin Fields, who we'll talk about. They had an opportunity here to do something incredible with Caleb Williams, but they aren't. They added a bunch of awesome pieces to the garage, but you know what it is? Their garage looks like crap. They do not have an offensive line to save a soul. And that's really unfortunate. Caleb Williams threw for 360, didn't get the win. I'd rather him throw 160 and the Bears win than 360 and a loss. Dak had 360 as well in a loss. I'm not a fan of those big numbers in losing games. But right now, it is patience only for so long before that front office needs to do something differently. Now, north, we'll head on down to the NFC South. We'll start in Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. He is a rental. He is a very expensive rental. Michael Penix is there. Falcons, perfection. They have it lined up beautifully, and I love what the Falcons are doing. Saints with Derek Carr. He's having a resurgence of his own this season. He had a great first 2 games, step back week 3, but you expect that to happen. Patience, maybe a little bit perfection for the Saints. I do believe at some point they have to draft a quarterback to develop. Not a big name, but somebody who can come in. A Kyle McCord, who's at Syracuse right now. Kyle McCord would be great to learn from Derek Carr on. Just something to think about. Tampa Bay, the strong point of the South. Baker Mayfield had an incredible season last year, 4,000 yards, playoff win, played fantastic throughout last season, and quick start to this year, step back here and there, but I do believe it's a new offense. There's going to be some wrinkles that they'll run through, but Buccaneers are in a great position right now at the quarterbacking. How much time do we got? You know who's next. You know what team we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the team that has the super involved owner, rookie head coach. They made a switch. And the 37-year-old threw 303 touchdowns. Hadn't been done all year. The Carolina Panthers are in a very weird spot. This is a full-on panic mode for the Panthers. Bryce Young has looked like hot garbage these 2 years. Last year as a rookie, it's expected, but it looked like he did not progress at all in the offseason. So you take Andy Dalton, a 37-year-old former starting quarterback, but a career backup now. Twilight of his career, and he comes out in the first half and throws 3 touchdowns against Las Vegas. What do you do in that situation if you're David Tepper, if you're David Canales as well? Canales, new head coach, coming off of a great project with Baker Mayfield, so super hyped on the offensive side. Okay, so if you're Canales, you're trying to get Bryce Young to get this point. You have 2 really bad games, and you have to ask yourself, is it my system that's struggling, or is it the quarterback? You put in a guy like Andy Dalton, he goes 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. You as a coach, you go, okay, my system works, my play calling works. Is it Bryce Young? I mentioned Detroit making a trade. If I'm Detroit, you offer a second-round pick for Bryce Young. What's the worst that happens? He sits. And then Bryce Young can start over. And then Carolina can start over. Carolina can ride Andy Dalton for the rest of this year, next year, and then draft a guy, more high level guy. I'm not saying Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers goes somewhere else. He'll touch, but Carolina does have an opportunity to do this correctly. Andy Dalton is serviceable in the Canellis offense. That is something that they need to talk about. Now, 3 divisions down, 1 to go before we switch conferences. We're heading out to the West Coast, and we're going to hit, first off, before we get to the coast, we're going to hit Arizona. They are a team that is under that perfection category. Kyler Murray has looked great to start the year. Him and Marvin Harrison Jr. are looking fantastic together. A little rocky first week 1, but they are on track. They are on track. Great second game, Marvin Harrison, 4 for 130 and 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray was looking his way and throwing his way. They are building that chemistry, and that is something that Kyler Murray needed. And now he's healthy. He was hurt last year. He's healthy. Kyler Murray is healthy. He is a top 15, top 12 quarterback. With his legs and his way of playing football, and finally having a match, finally having a coach to coach to him, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are perfection, with the other perfection in the NFC West as well, which is San Francisco and Brock Purdy. I've been on the negative side of Purdy, but here is where I'll talk positively for a minute about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy played 4 years at Iowa State, almost 50 starts underneath his belt. That is why he is successful. Brock Purdy is the example now for teams to look at and evaluate college quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels, 3 or 4 year starter, 3-year starter at Arizona State, and then started for another year at LSU. The kid has been playing ball for forever. I think he played 5 years because I think it was 3 at Arizona State, 2 at LSU because he had the COVID year, which means an extra year of eligibility, not a red shirt. So he played for 5 years. That shows. And that is something that I think NFL evaluators need to start taking into high consideration, is these guys who have played multiple years, played 3-4 years starting, and have a good chunk, almost 50 starts underneath their belt, to where they can come in and identify defenses, read a defense, and go from there, which is something I think has been missing with some of these other quarterbacks. But Brock Purdy, changing the landscape of evaluating. But he's good. He's going to get his big fat contract at the end of this year due to his rookie contract. He was not eligible for a big fat payday right away. He'll get his payday this year, and Brock Purdy is set in San Francisco. We'll go down a little bit, down the highway there in California, down to Los Angeles and the Rams. Now, I talked to Sam Darnold. He is on a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings. Matthew Stafford is old. Clayton Kershaw is going to retire. Stafford might retire. If Matthew Stafford is at that point where he doesn't want to retire, I think if you're Sean McVay, again, they are in a panic mode. It is not perfection with the Rams. It is a panic mode. It's not like true panic. It's not a patience either. Because they don't have time to wait for Matthew Stafford. They don't have time to develop a quarterback just yet. But what they can do, I called it out on Threads last night, and I had 50 views on this. Everybody's talking about, is Sam Darnold going to be playing with Malik Neighbors in New York? No. He's going to be playing with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua next year. And you can take this Real Deal in Sports, check it out on these channels, because I can tell you this right now. If I had better tech skills, I'd lock it in. Sam Darnold will sign a 3-year, $90 million contract with the Rams this offseason. Get his $30 million a year, not 40, but 30. Don't be greedy, Sam. Get your 30. Go to the Rams, Sean McVay's offense. Matthew Stafford will retire, and the Rams will be contenders again. That is why I'm putting the Rams in a panic mode, because they have an opportunity this offseason to get better. Now, let's do a quick flight up the West Coast to Seattle and the Seahawks. New head coach. They are 3-0 to start the year. Everybody's talking about Minnesota, but nobody is talking about the Seahawks. Now, is it Geno Smith or is it that defense? I think it's the defense. They didn't have Kenneth Walker last week against the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are taking a step back, and we'll touch on them here soon. They did what they needed to do, and they got the win. I think they are a patience. They're not perfection. Geno Smith is doing what he needs to do as a quarterback to win games. Noah Fant is a top 15 tight end right now. DK Metcalf is arguably, again, they have a lot of top 15 players. Kenneth Walker's top 15, DK's top 15. Tyler Lockett, top 30 wide receiver. There's opportunity in Seattle to win games, and they're doing it. 3-0. We just ran over the NFC. Not a lot of panic going on. Just a couple of ones I identified. Again, the Bears are almost at the panic. Same with the Giants. They're on that edge of being in panic mode. Carolina is definitely in panic mode. And it's a subtle panic with the Rams. It's a subtle panic. That, again, if you're paint by the numbers kind of person, you can just kind of put 2 and 2 together and kind of see Kevin O'Connell's offense in Minnesota is working with Sam Darnold. That is the same offense McVay runs, just a variation of it. Beautiful thing, next offseason, free agency hits. Sam Darnold, 3 years, $90 million to the Rams. Again, big graphic would come in if I was better at this. And it would be, boom, lock it in, Sam Darnold. But let's keep track on it this year. Check out the socials, getting questions, comments, concerns. I'll address those at some point through the email. I don't think I've ever checked it. That's the X, the TRD show. Post a few things there occasionally. Twitch, we'll do some live streams occasionally. At some point, we'll do some play-by-play of maybe a Sunday night game. It's just a little late in the season, get a little bored. And, of course, YouTube, check out all the old clips and all the old shows and kind of see our evolution throughout this process. That was the NFC. We got a whole nother conference, baby. Let's go. We're on the West Coast right now. Let's take a trip to Denver, Colorado, where it is perfection. Sean Payton has his kid. He has his guy in Bo Nix. Bo Nix, again, talk about Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix, 4-year starter. He played at Auburn, Oregon. He, well-traveled individual, well-traveled kid. I love it. Absolutely love it. Bo Nix in Denver. And we'll take the easy one, the other perfection in the NFC, in the AFC West, excuse me. The other perfection in this division. The wannabe GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. Probably one of the safer teams in the NFL is the Kansas City Chiefs. To go along with probably Green Bay and Dallas right now that are so entrenched with their quarterback play. Be Kansas City. But now let's pivot and head back out west. We'll go Southern California here to the Los Angeles Chargers, because let's talk about Justin Herbert for a second. The dude gets beat up a lot. I caught his injuries at the end, towards the end of that Steeler-Charger game, and he's hurt a lot. He's a high ankle sprain right now, and that might affect his play quite a bit moving forward. They don't have the weapons that they've had in the past. J.K. Dobbins is a solid running back. Quentin Johnson, not even a top 50 receiver in my opinion. I don't think he is. Jim Harbaugh, kind of quarterback guru-ish. You know, he got a lot out of McCarthy at Michigan. He got a lot out of Kaepernick in San Francisco. He had Andrew Luck at Stanford. So he's had good quarterbacks. Is Justin Herbert that guy? It's not panic mode. This is patience. This is patience for the Chargers. Our first division and our first panic button. Panic. That's right. I'm looking at you, Las Vegas. Gardner Minshew is not your quarterback of the future. He is not. Quinn Ewers is. Quinn Ewers is. But now with Quinn Ewers, if you are in that position, if the Vegas Raiders are in that position in April to draft Quinn Ewers, what they have to do is they have to draft him. They have to mold him. They have to do all these things for him. They have to. And they have to allow him to fail and allow him to succeed. He needs to be taken the full-on Peyton Manning approach. Let him go 3-14. Let him make a bunch of mistakes, but allow him to get better. Now, we're in Vegas. Let's shoot on down to the south. We're going to go to Houston, Texas. That is a perfection. CJ Stroud is the guy in Houston. Now, we'll hit the other part of the South, which is actually more Midwest. We'll go to Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Perfection. Growing pains this year. He was out a lot last year. Growing pains this year in the South. And then we hit the two other teams that are in full-on panic mode. That's right, Jacksonville. I'm calling you out. Trevor Lawrence looks lost. He got a big contract. I don't think he's worth it. He isn't worth it. Trevor Lawrence, this is a full-on panic mode. And I firmly believe right now that Jacksonville's having buyer's remorse. And I heard something earlier, and I'll touch on this. I know this is already going like 18 minutes or so. Close. It's a topic very near and dear to my heart. That's why I really want to talk about this. Rumblings around is Jacksonville might be the landing spot for Bill Belichick because the owner, Shad Khan, has money. He doesn't want to be involved, and he just wants good football and win football games. Who do you look at? Bill Belichick. Now, I'm not talking, again, minor sidebar. I know I don't want to take up too much time this evening, but minor sidebar. Belichick is not going to Dallas. Jerry Jones will not give Bill Belichick control of that roster. Plain and simple, and that's what Belichick wanted in Atlanta. Front office people scaled back. Arthur Blank was like, yeah, whatever. Okay. But now let's pop up to Tennessee and the Titans. Will Levis. Will Levis is that guy that looks so good in practice that you're like, oh, he has to be good in the game. And you get him into a game and he doesn't play well. He just doesn't play well. Will Levis just doesn't play well. And full-on panic mode in Jacksonville and Tennessee. Now, since we're in Tennessee, let's hop up to the AFC North here real quick. Now, we'll go full panic mode right now, and that is Cleveland. Cleveland is stuck with the worst contract in NFL history in Deshaun Watson's guarantee. They need to just continue to turn his contract into signing bonuses so they can make the team better and try to overcome his shortcomings as a quarterback and do it. Because now the other three teams in the North, except for one, are doing fairly well. They're on perfection. That is the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Lost a heartbreaker to the Commanders, but Joe Burrow continues to play good football. Think there's a little bit more going on behind the scenes, and the talking points I heard today, head coach Zach Taylor needs to not be head coach. That he's a great offensive coordinator, but the rest of the team is suffering. We'll head over to Baltimore and the Ravens for this one. This one, layup, finger roll, dunk it, Lamar Jackson. He's a two-time MVP. He still plays at a high level. Great win over Dallas. He has his complimentary running game with Derrick Henry, who is on a roll to start the year. Derrick Henry is looking great. But now let's have the big conversation. Probably the conversation that no Bears fans want to hear. They don't want to hear it. They don't. Justin Fields was not the problem in Chicago. Justin Fields is 3-0 with like 2 turnovers this year. Justin Fields is playing incredible football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Consistent coaching, a solid game plan, decent playmakers around him. Decent playmakers, not a lot, decent. And Justin Fields is given this offense, and he is allowed to make plays to be Justin Fields. He looks great. Calvin Austin's a great person for him to rely on. Still has a solid running game with Najee Harris. That defense, a Mike Tomlin defense, and TJ Watt are going to keep you in games. And as long as he doesn't make mistakes, which he's not, they're going to win. Last division here in the AFC to run through. Patriots are using Jacoby Brissett as a bridge starter to get to Drake May. I don't think this year. I don't think next year. I think the Patriots should be incredibly patient with Drake May and allow him to sit. Then it'll be perfection. Now, we'll take I was going to head down to Miami, but we'll go to Buffalo. This is another perfection. Perfection in the AFC is in Buffalo. Josh Allen. We talked Sam Darnold, MVP, all that stuff, but it's Josh Allen's award to lose at this point. Josh Allen played lights out. Almost caused me to lose my fantasy matchup this weekend. I was up 70 points and Josh Allen drops 55. Thank God I won by 10. Otherwise, I'd be very sad today. Very sad today. But Josh Allen showed once again. Keon Coleman. It doesn't matter who he's playing with right now. No Stephon Diggs. No Gabe Davis. And Josh Allen is still doing it again. Perfection. We'll go to the Meadowlands here and to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is like 90 years old, and they're playing good football. The Jets need to draft a quarterback next year. I believe Rodgers had a 3-year deal, so he lost last year with the Achilles. This is year 2. He has 1 more year left. I think Rodgers will play out his contract. They need to draft a quarterback. Again, the name I like to use is Quinn Ewers, but for the Jets, Dylan Gabriel, UCF guy, Oklahoma guy, and now Oregon guy, well-traveled, well-played. Dylan Gabriel could come in next year, sit behind Rodgers for a year, allow this team to build some capital and get better. You still have Garrett Wilson, top 20 receiver. Breece Hall is a top 5 running back, Braylon Allen will be a great complementary piece. Ty Conklin's a great tight end. The Jets, if they get a young, well-traveled quarterback to sit next year behind Rodgers last year, the Jets will be in a good position. Not quite a perfection. Patience for the Jets. And then we'll touch base down. We'll take that long flight from the Meadowlands all the way down to Miami. Where's my panic button, Jimmy? I need the panic button. Panicking in Miami. Tua Tagovailoa, another concussion. Early reports are, he wants to keep playing. You know that every old head, every executive, anybody who loves Tua will sit there and tell him, think about it. Don't rush. Your family is more important than this game. They are maybe starting Tyler Huntley this week. It is full on panic mode. There has been I think anybody who can throw a football has been contacted. Get Jack Cohn down there. Get me Jack Cohn. Where's Jack Cohn at? On Wisconsin, baby. Get Jack Cohn down there for a few weeks, and I think Miami would be okay. Just kidding. They would not be. Jack Cohn's a horrible quarterback. Just kidding, Jack. If you ever watch this, I'm a huge fan, and I think you did great stuff at Wisconsin and Notre Dame. Just kidding, Jack. Don't get mad at me. Miami's in full-on panic mode, and even the brilliance of Mike McDaniel, I don't think can save this team. Devon Achane was a top 5 fantasy running back this year. He was the guy you want that. No, they aren't going to be able to run the football. They'll be behind in every game. It's going to be very frustrating to be a Tyreek Hill fan, Jalen Waddle fan right now, because they will not be receiving the targets that they need to be successful and to win games. We have just covered the entire NFL, and I don't know how long this was. I just hit the record button, and we're at 30. Oh my goodness, great! I apologize. This will be 15 minutes. I double that, so we're just gonna quickly do a quick little hitter here, and we are just gonna touch on something I talked about a couple weeks ago. The Pac-12 is now the Pac-6, but now it's the Pac-7. Utah State has decided to join. And they did something that I thought they were going to do, and I feel really, really validated by this. They added Gonzaga non-football. Love it. So now they are at 7 teams. They need one more to make a conference per the FBS rules. UNLV is still in conversations. I think a New Mexico State wouldn't be too bad. And I don't think Hawaii would be that bad either. I think Hawaii would be a great choice. I think that would just be a very solid choice. Air Force said no. A bunch of other teams said no. But I believe UNLV Hawaii would be a great selection. But this has gone on way too long, and I apologize. But we're going to close this out here real quick. This has been The Real Deal in Sports. Check me out over here. It's been flashing throughout, so if you go back through, you can pause it. Check me out on YouTube. That is where this video will be posted, so you can take a look at it, watch it over and over again, have a lot of fun, argue with me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Tell me whatever you believe in. But this is The Real Deal in Sports with your guy. That's me, Nathan Deal. Check me out on the socials. Let's have a great rest of the week and great football coming up on Sunday. We might do a little preview of the games coming up. I love doing this more during football season because football is the sport that I know the best. Baseball is coming up with the postseason. Might do some special things for that as well. Stay tuned. Keep watching. And as always, stay beautiful, Internet. You are lovely.